Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 128. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle. And happy Wednesday. We're here on our new home on Wednesdays, now releasing new episodes every Wednesday. And I have a mediumship discussion I would like to have. It's always interesting what comes up during the week and what's going on in my world. And I always think, oh, this is what I'm supposed to share on the podcast. Oh, this is, maybe a collective thing that I should talk about. So that's what happened this week. There was just a lot of mediumship talk, and I wanted to bring that conversation here to the podcast. So as you guys know, I still work at the restaurant. I host a Greek night here in Banff once a week, and it's fun, and it's where I used to work, and I just love it, and I get to eat delicious Greek food. But as we're rolling into summer, they're hiring a bunch of new staff, and all the old staff like to mess with all the new staff and just tell everybody that I'm a witch and Steph's a medium. And all the new staff are looking at me like, you're a medium? And I was like, yep. And normally this used to drive me crazy. And I was like, stop telling people. And I wouldn't be able to say, yep. I wouldn't be able to say, yes, I'm a medium. Oh, that means I talk to dead people. And I was teaching Reiki level 1 this weekend, and I talk about the throat and the throat chakra. And I always say my favorite line about the throat is, it's where we breathe life into our choices. Things aren't real until you say them out loud. And I always say, going back to the first, I think 6 months of the podcast, I don't think I said the word medium. I don't think I said mediumship, or I could barely get it out. And it's just really interesting now reflecting back on that. So I want to talk about that a little bit today, but we're going to start with this week's card pull. So I always ask, what does the collective need to know? What's a little piece of information, guidance that can help us this week, or whenever you're listening to the episode? And I pulled one card from the Rebecca Campbell Work Your Light Oracle deck. And I pulled the card Soul Family. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. It is time to call in your soul family and support team. People who get you at a soul level. People who are the same kind of weird as you. People who are your chosen family. They are coming and they are looking for you. If you haven't found them yet, this is a sign that they are close by. But in order for them to find you and recognize you when they do, it's important that you stop dimming your light and truly let yourself be seen. If you have already found them, then you are being called to let them support you and perhaps also assemble a wider support team. Your support team, it can consist of all types of people, such as therapists, coaches, mentors, or healers. Tune in to what kind of support you need now. Ooh, soul family. I like that. How nice. And it goes with today's episode. I love when that happens. So I do have a few announcements. The next round of mentees in the middle is officially full. So I have accepted all the mentees. Thank you to all the applications. We are running our 4th round of this mentorship program. It's an 8-week program. I'm very, very excited to do it all over again. It has become one of my favorite things to do. You get involved with other people and what they're doing. I will hold a wait list for the next one, so if you're interested, you can always add your email to be the first informed. And we are less than 2 weeks away from Mediums in the Mountains, my live mediumship reading in Banff, Alberta. There is still time to get your tickets. You are going to be in Banff May 29th. The event is 2 to 4:30 p.m. I'm so excited. Medium named Bree is coming. We're doing this event. We're going to hang out. We're going to be in Banff. It's going to be the best. Can't wait to meet all of you and do another live group reading with Bree. It's just going to be fire. I'm giddy like it's Christmas is coming. So I'll leave the link down below if you want to grab your tickets. Come see us in real life for a mediumship reading. But this week I have a story to tell, and it was an interesting one because it gave me new perspective, and it also made me really think about things in a new way, because this podcast is me sharing my journey into mediumship, and I want to include all of these tiny little stories as well because they are relevant. So like I said, I was doing Greek night, and I'm the host, so I just MC the show, and I used to work at this restaurant, so I have a lot of friends that still work there. A lot of stories have happened at that restaurant. You can go back and listen to some of them. They're on the podcast. It's funny, I arrived and my one friend's training a new girl. And then he comes up to me and he's laughing and he's like, I told the new girl you're a medium. And I was like, oh, great. And I was like, why'd you do that? He's like, I thought it was funny. And I was like, okay, thanks. And then you see the new girl looking at me and she's like, are you a medium? I was like, yeah. She's like, what does that mean? I was like, talk to dead people. And she was like for a job? And I was like, yeah. And I just kept clapping and I was hyping up the belly dancer at the time. It was in the middle of the show. And she was kind of looking at me. And normally this would have ruined me and I wouldn't be able to have said yeah. I wouldn't have been able to say anything. Sometimes I say more, sometimes I say less. But I was just like, YOLO, whatever, yes. Yes, that's what I do for a job. And my friend's like, yeah, she owns her own business. She's like killing it. And I was like, yeah, like kind of what, sort of, yeah, like essentially, yeah. I'm like, I do a bunch of other things too, but there's that. She was like, huh. So then I'm sitting down after the show and I get fed. That's part of my deal. So I'm eating my meal. And another new person comes to sit down beside me and they say, oh, you're going to have dinner with the witch here. And I was like, oh, guys, like leave the new guy alone. He was like, oh, what's that mean? I was like, oh, and they're like, oh, Steph's a medium. And they're like, oh, and he's like, oh, what's a medium? And I was like, oh, like a psychic medium. He's like, oh, what's that? And I was like, oh, like I talk to the dead. He's like, oh, what do you mean? I was like people who are passed away. He's like, oh, why would you do that? I was like, to get messages. He's like, oh, why would you want a message? And I was like if you wanted to talk to your grandma who has passed away, you could talk to her. He's like, oh, why would I want to do that? And I was like, for like healing messages, it's helpful to know that, there's life after death and we don't just die and we're more than our bodies. And he was like, huh. I was like, have you never heard of mediumship before? He was like, no. I was like, have you ever heard of a medium before? He was like, no. I was like, what? He's like, is it like in high demand? And I was like, yeah. I was like, and people pay like hundreds of dollars for it. He was like, huh. So like, how's it work? And I was like, well, like if you have a past loved one, you would make an appointment and then you would talk to them and they would like, tell you who they are, tell you some memories, say something, maybe answer any questions. He was like, well, why would people want to do that? And I was like, well, if they needed something from their loved one, if they wanted to connect, if they wanted to know they were okay, they had a question, like there's lots of reasons why. And he's like, I don't need to be rude. I've just never ever heard of this before. And I was just sitting beside this 22-year-old man who was in school for kinesiology and he had never heard of a psychic medium before. And I was more blown away by that fact than anything else. And it really made me think. And I was like, why would he be? Like, why would he know about that? And I was like, do you know about like Teresa Caputo? He was like, who's that? And I was like, have you ever heard the show Long Island Medium? He was like, no. I was like, you've never seen like any mediums on TV, like movies, like nothing? He was like, no. He's like, so people are interested in this. And I was like, yeah. He's like, and that's your whole job. And I was like, well, no, but like, yeah. And then I tried to explain Reiki to him and he's like, well, what's that? And I was like, well, that's a whole other story. But it was just such a refreshing conversation. He wasn't being rude. He was genuinely interested and he had no idea what a medium was. And it made me think, I was like, there's a ton of people who probably don't know what a medium is because why would they? Like if you have no desire to talk to your loved ones, if you believe that life ends when we take our last breath, if you don't believe in this, if you think it's woo-woo, if you think it's bad, whatever it may be. So anyways, I've been telling this story to a few friends being like, what a great perspective. And it had me thinking. And I had another friend say like, oh yeah, like I don't think my mom would know what a medium was. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah. I was like, but your dad has passed away. She was like, yeah, but she wouldn't have any desire to like talk to him. And I was like, huh. So interesting. And it made me think about that, right? Like, what are you exposed to? What are you not exposed to? And I know this isn't the same, but years ago when I got my first ever injury, I was a CrossFit coach and I hurt my knee. And one of the athletes that came to the gym I coached at was a physio doctor. And she said, "Hey, come see me, like I can fix your knee." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went to her office, no idea what physio was, no idea what she was going to be doing, like zero idea. And I went and she fixed me up, and then I became obsessed with it. And I started going like every week, and she would crack my neck and she would fix my knee and anything that was bothering me. And I remember thinking, how didn't I know about this before? Like, this could have been like a career I maybe wanted to get into. Like, I was super obsessed with it. It was all about the body. Sorry, I said physio. I meant chiropractor. She was a chiropractor. And it was just so interesting because at the time, I thought the same thing. So this whole mediumship experience brought me back to that. I didn't know what a chiropractor did until I had an injury and went. So same thing with mediumship. You might not know what it is until you have someone that's passed and you want to connect with them, or you're searching for answers, or you want more. But of course, everyone listening to this podcast is aware what a medium is, but it was just such a nice reflection of it. And then me being asked that I was a medium happened 3 times this week. I then went for a facial. And again, it's a small town. All friends know all friends. And the girl doing my facial was like, yeah, the girl at the front desk was like, "Is she a medium?" And I was like, yeah, she is. And then she was like, "Is it okay if we call you a witch?" And I was like, yeah. I was like, it's not bad. And I was like, I joke that I'm a witch. And she's like, "Oh, okay," because I kind of joked that. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. So she was like, "Oh," she was like asking like what you do and stuff. And I like kind of laughed, and then I was paying, and she said, "So you're a medium?" I was like, "Yeah." Just casually, I was like, I don't need to explain anything. I don't need to get into it. I don't need to give this long-winded answer. I don't need to say, do you believe? Do you not believe? Are you into this? Are you not into this? I don't need to explain what I do. I was just like, yep. She was like, "Oh, cool." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "So are you like busy?" I was like, "Yep. I have a podcast and, I talk about things and the cool stories. But there's like not always super cool stories with a podcast, but yeah." She was like, "Huh." And it was just an interesting week. I was like, why did this happen 3 times this week? So I know I have a lot of developing mediums who listen to this podcast. And I think this story is for you because it is hard to just say, yep, and not explain yourself, not have a reason, not try to go into whatever you may feel like you have to defend. Do you believe in it? Do you not believe in it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it real? Is it not real? Are we fake and phonies? Are we not? So I wanted to bring that here on the podcast this week because think about in your life, whether you're a medium or not, where you can't say, yep, yeah, I am. Yep, that's me. Because it has taken me years to get to the point now where 3 people can ask me in a week and I just say, yep. You want to know some crazy stories? Listen to the podcast. If you want to know more, ask the person that told you. And it was funny because the people at the restaurant were starting to tell the stories of, oh yeah, once someone's dad was here and he was waiting outside in the lobby and then Steph was going to the kitchen guys and it was crazy and I didn't believe her, but then all these things started happening and now we just believe her and she's, Steph, and we just accept her for who she is. And it was interesting hearing other people explain it on my behalf. And I was thinking like years ago, this would have given me a panic attack. This would have scared the shit out of me. I would have been nervous. I would have been anxious. I would have been mad that someone told, almost like you're being outed. Now I'm just like, yep, here's my card. Here's my podcast. I can sit here and explain to you all the things that I do. And even though I don't do one-on-one mediumship readings, I do group mediumship readings and I do Reiki and I teach Reiki and I do Akashic Records. What's Akashic Records? Oh, geez, that's another story. And I do public speaking and I teach and I mentor and la, la, la. And they're like, wow, like interesting. And I was like, it is interesting, actually. And I don't have to be small and I don't have to play small. So now that I'm saying all of this out loud, look at the throat chakra doing its thing. It makes sense why I'm sharing this story. This is for all the developing mediums. psychics, whatever you are that you cannot say out loud, this story is for you. Because, yep, you are that. Yep, you do that. Yep, your business is doing good. Yep, people are interested in that. And that is totally fine to say. If you're having a hard time saying it, because it took me years to get to that, yep, practice it in the shower, work on that throat, release that energy from your body, get it out, because that's what this week's podcast is about. I love when things just come full circle like that. Love it. So that's what I wanted to bring you this week on the pod. I hope you enjoyed that. Come back and listen to this whenever you need a reminder that, yes, you do that. If you do want to book an appointment with me, I'm offering Reiki, Akashic Records, or PSYCH-K. You can see me online or in person in Banff, Alberta. I'll leave all the links down below in the show notes. More Reiki courses will be coming next week. They are currently all sold out. And if you are listening to this podcast and you haven't already, I would love and appreciate a rating and a review. Doesn't take too much of your time, 20 seconds maximum, but it really helps me out in the podcast world. So if you could leave a rating and a review wherever you are listening, I would really appreciate it. But until next Wednesday, Middlers, I will see you in your ears next week. If you want to stay connected with me, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook. All the links you need are down below in the show notes. You know the drill. Bye, everybody.